I'm going to introduce my brother, Peter Morin. And Peter and I go a long way back. And Peter also, I'll say, has a very long history with the Indigenous Art Intensive. Peter is an alumni here at UBC Okanagan, did his MFA here with us, and has organized with Okanadas Collective for previous Indigenous Art Intensive gatherings. And also, participated. He's taught with us many times, and so I really am thankful every time that he comes and joins us again. Peter Morin is a grandson of Tahltan ancestor artist. Morin is working as the graduate program director of the Interdisciplinary Masters in Art, Media and Design program, IAMD, at OCAD University, and the advisor to the VP Academic on Indigenous Knowledge, Practice, and Production. Morin currently holds a tenured appointment in the Faculty of Arts at the Ontario College of Art and Design, University in Toronto. Peter is the son of Janelle Craig, Crow Clan, Tahltan Nation, and Pierre Morin, French-Canadian. I know, big ups to your mom and dad, Peter.
Thank you so much, sister. It's such a privilege to be here. Thank you, Justine. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everyone who is here. Thank you for being present in the room. Thank you for listening with however all the different kinds of ways that we listen and be present with each other. It's hard work having a human body. I'm learning this more and more every day, every year. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's complicated and it's real. And in the middle of all of that, trying to be a productive human being is also quite complicated and difficult. And I really love that I get to be in this space, and I get to come back to this space, and I get to, make offerings and contributions to this space, because the Indigenous Art Intensive is so important. It is not just, something that we do because it's a university. It's actually a place where Indigenous folks, it is a place where Indigenous artists who are doing the incredibly difficult work of making, thinking, dreaming, and being are actually talking with other Indigenous artists, Indigenous thinkers, Indigenous curators. These are the places of gathering that create the change that helps us to be here together, actually. It is such a privilege to be here. I keep crashing too. I crashed for years. I'm like, I need to be here. I need to be on these territories. I want to also say thank you to the ancestors of these territories and Syilx people for offering such incredible energy and time, and thousands upon thousands of years of offerings of skill and expertise, which makes this place a place where we can come and be present with each other. Also thinking about, a student just recently, Deepika Bawaja, also reminded me, we have to acknowledge the more than human people, the more than human beings, the plant life, the animal life, the folks who don't move like us, the folks who don't talk with this kind of sound, the winged ones, the insects, they have incredible expertise, they have incredible skill, and they have incredible offerings that they have also made to these territories. And Deepika circled this back around into my head because I have heard, yeah, whoa, see? I don't know if that was you're talking too much or keep going. That all of that skill and expertise is also something that, okay. Okay, keep going. which also offers opportunities and supports us to be here with each other, you know. And this is, you know, we use the word indigenous. We're talking about lifeways and the practice of lifeways, which constitutes what we would use the English word knowledge to articulate. Like, we get to be together when we use that word knowledge, right? Indigenous knowledge is practiced, right? Thousands and thousands and thousands of years of practice, and, you know, human bodies, human beings are, you know, we you know, it takes time to process this stuff. So, thankfully, the more than human beings are smarter than us and offer so much beauty to us. And you know, I also want to, this is the intro, you know, this is what you're doing, you know, this is it, right? Because artists come together, indigenous artists have a, you know, I was thinking about this too, how the hell am I all over the world here? Because indigenous artists have a practice of traveling the land, meeting other indigenous artists, and this is for, you know, where knowledge is exchanged, skills are exchanged, and culture becomes better, living becomes better because of places like the Indigenous Art Intensive. This is the tradition of these territories, and we need to say it out loud, right? I spent a lot of time investigating and thinking about, you know, I worked with Tanya at Redwater Native Youth Media Society 100 years ago.
100.
You know? And, you know, the time that that's the first time I ever heard the word decolonizing, right? When activists in the downtown east side, the indigenous youth activists in the downtown east side, we were actually doing it, you know? And then all of a sudden, you know, 35 years later, I'm not good at math. 35 years later, all the universities are doing this thing, you know, but, you know, it has been a daily practice in order to have a human body and to have a Tahltan Nation body and a French-Canadian body. Those are my ancestries, those are my parents. And Dana Warren, I was thinking about this the other day, Dana Warren, and you took me down memory lane. I'm just gonna say this, and then I'm gonna talk about the artwork. But, you know, I was like, 2005, I did a performance, and I was never gonna be a performance artist, ever, you know? I was just like biding my time till I could like get a regular paying job so that I could pay studio fees to continue being a printmaker, because I couldn't afford the studio fees. You know, like, that's real. Actually, you know, it's hard work being an artist. Anyway, you know, Dana told me, you know, there's no documentation of this performance. It only is story that is there. That's the documentation of that first performance, which was so funny because later on in 2007, Candace Hopkins, I still have curators. I don't know how she got my phone number. Curators, that's what curators do. And they like called me and she said, I heard you did this performance in 2005 at the Museum of Anthropology, which was pretty good. I'd like to ask you to do another performance. I was like, how the hell did you get my number? But it was Dana Warren who said this. You said this to me afterwards. You said, Rebecca was there. And you know, because I was performing, and where I was performing in the collection, right? And my performance was being telecasted into the theater, and so nobody in the theater knew where I was, right? And I was like so loud, because that was part of it, because I was thinking about the glass, right? And the art objects, the ancestor artworks, they sing so loud behind glass. So I wanted to sing so loud so that people were like, you could actually hear, but you didn't know where the singing was coming from, right? And Dana, you said to me afterwards, because at Grunt, you were like, Rebecca was there, and she said, Rebecca said it was really good. And I was like, holy shit. But I think the first performance was, you know, you and I at art school many years previous to that. Yeah, and I was projecting images onto your body and onto my body, and I took photos of it. But that really was it. Like, you know, that really was the first time, and that was like 1999. What? 200 years ago! I also, before I, I'm going to talk about this project because it's really at the front of my mind and the front of my heart, and I'm going to talk very quickly, and we're all going to talk about the work that we're doing here, and we're dreaming up together, which is also at the front of my mind and the front of my heart. But before I do, I just want to acknowledge the young folks out there in the occupied space, the tent city that is supporting and sending love and building awareness of the very difficult and harmful situation in Gaza. And I want to say this because I think it's important that we are resonant with the efforts of young people. I used to be a young person. But also I think it's important that we're resonant with the violence and the pain of so many people in those territories. Not, that I don't think bombs, I know that this doesn't need to be said, but, I just keep wishing that people would really start investing in human power instead of bombs and bullets. So, thank you. And so what I have here is this project, all of this interconnectedness that I'm just sharing right now, but it's interwoven through everything that I do. Everything is interconnected. Part of those earlier performances are echoes of what is on this website. The website is called rereadingtaltan.ca. During COVID, I wanted to, there was a lot of struggling during that time. And I was thinking about moms and dads and the hard work that moms and dads do and the kids that are there at home, because we were all at home. And so how do I contribute to those family members and those loved ones? So I was doing these reading performances of older Tahltan Nation stories on Facebook Live once a day. It took 7 hours. They were they were called Tahltan Tales, and they were attributed to somebody named James Tate. That project is performance, right? And decolonizing methodologies are informing that, because when you, as a Tahltan, a mixed ancestry, a Tahltan Nation person, return to those older historical documents, you actually have to change your whole body in order to actually hear them, because the English language becomes it's so inside of our muscle memory, right? So I had challenged myself to be like, I'm going to read these stories out loud to see if I can match the original breath of those original Tahltan storytellers, right? But decolonizing methodologies also has, for me now at the age of 46, and turning 47, I want to not just remain in this place of my work is supported by decolonizing methodologies. We have to expand, because there is more than colonization, right? And there is more than, and there's older power, and there's older knowledge systems. So that breathway of those original storytellers is older than Canadian colonization, right? And the extractive forces of museums at that time. And museums are working through their issues. Anyway, so I started to think about what are my contributions, or what do I understand about post-colonialism? So I'm kind of moving into that space. And I had the privilege of, I have a very privileged life. I get to be here in the love circle with people I have been working with for 20 years. Like, who gets to do that, Amazing. It's amazing. And I had a sabbatical, and I spent a year living with my dad, doing elder care work, and Our mother lives every day with Alzheimer's. She's had Alzheimer's now for 12 years. 7 of her siblings have had Alzheimer's, and she's from a sibling group of 15. Her mother's sibling group, the majority of them had Alzheimer's. And this also is kind of part of the reason why I feel like I need to, it's interconnected, right? Part of the reason why I need to shift a little bit more and expand my sort of like way of being to have a human body and honor the complications of a human body. So I'm like leaning into post-colonialism. That year of my time there, I learned that I don't want to just investigate pain anymore or honor pain like I was doing for so many years. I want my work to protect my parents' love story. And that's post-colonial, right? It's more than. And so I was working with these great folks at AKA. There's a great team there. You know, you all check this website out, but Ryan, if you don't mind scrolling down a little bit. So okay, just right there, 1 second. So part of what I wanted to do was carry on those reading performances of all of the older texts written about Tahltan people with Tahltan influence and support attributed to non-Tahltan people. Like James Tate has been a published author from Tahltan Nation knowledge, but none of those Tahltan knowledge leaders are attributed in any of that. You know, A.J. Stone wrote a book about our people. He actually writes about and names my great-grandpa. And you know what he says about my great-grandpa? He says, oh, you know, Dennis went ahead and da-da-da-da, you know, like where he was gone all day. You know, I don't know why he sounds like that. You know, that's the voice of A.J. Stone. He just gone all day and da-da-da-da-da, right? You know, he's a lazy Indian. That's what, you know, but meanwhile, our great-grandpa was like, he went ahead, set up camp, put up the tent, went out hunting, got some food to feed this guy, Stone, but he's a lazy Indian, you know. Anyway, so I wanted to return a Tahltan voice, you know, and mixedness is a part of our ancestral being, you know, like it's not a miracle that people fall in love and, you know, choose to have babies. But I want to add that voice back to these stories, right? But then I'm like, how do you do this? What do you do? You know, what is the post-colonial frame? And we know the colonial frame is forced removal of resources from indigenous territories. And what's the most post-colonial? And this is also inspired by your weather work, sister, right? Because the wind is free, you know? And so I was thinking the most post-colonial is weather. And so I did all these reading performances, and you know, when you go to the website, you'll check it out. They're all there. And I asked. Every recording starts with, I'm making these recordings for Tahltan elders, Tahltan children, Tahltan community members, so that you may listen to and listen for the Tahltan meaning and expertise that is often hidden by English words like this. And while you're listening, you know, imagine that these words are like rain that returns Tahltan expertise and Tahltan knowledge back to our territories. So let's watch this, and then I'll talk for 2 more minutes, and then that's it.
Tahltan stories can be like the weather. They can come at you, they can wash over you, they can be an unexpected change. Like that one time, Saskia didn't like the blanket anymore. He came to a lake and threw away his own robe. That crow, he'd met 2 men on the trail and liked their blankets too much. Their blankets were made of red willow bark. He stole their blankets, and that blanket just fell off his body. That crow called out to the south wind and invited them to a party. He knew that they would blow his old blanket back, the one that he threw away without any reason to do so, except because he was jealous of those red willow blankets.
Poor behavior.
When he saw that the wind had brought his robe back, he called out and said, "I'm feeling sick. We can't dance. We should do a lodge instead." He said, "I have no covering for the sweat lodge." The South Wind people said, "We have a blanket you can use." South Wind said it was too hot for them to do a lodge. Saskia pretended to be angry and called the South Wind bad people. South Wind replied, "You called us for a feast and a dance, and now there's nothing." When the South Wind people had departed, Saskia danced and called the North Wind to blow. North Wind came, blowing a gale, and blew the South Wind people far away.
So, I've started to, I love working with people. It's such a privilege. I've been working with, also with Isaac King. He's a stop motion animator, and just a fantastic human being. And you know, as I was saying, I was on a sabbatical, and I spent a lot of time with our dad and our mom and our family, and I spent a lot of time watching Big Bang Theory with Dad, and I spent a lot of time watching the news, and the news is such an incredible moment, but the weather is the incredible moment, right? And so when we're designing this animation, I was saying to Isaac, like, it has to look like the Weather Channel, like the weather. It's so, the colors are so vibrant, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So all of that is like a forecasting of cloud patterns, you know? And that, you know, the title of that work, A Tahltan Retelling of a Tahltan Story, written down over 100 years by a non-Tahltan person, 2023. Because I had read these stories so much now, I'm actually able to make them into those life ways, those storytelling ways of the older Tahltan people. And you know, in thinking about resource extraction as well, like mining companies refer to our territory as the Golden Triangle. They have been removing gold from our territory since before the Yukon Gold Rush. And so what you see in this website, if you don't mind just scrolling a little bit, what you see in this website is I've turned everything gold. Because our ancestral knowledge and our ancestor skill and the original Tahltan knowledge leaders, that's gold, right? And because I'm making this also for our community members, I want them to see that that gold is more important than the gold in the ground. So yeah, if you just, and there's so much text, and right away. So much, but if you read it, I also was like, I wanted to talk about, and you know, this is something that not necessarily every artist is able to do or wants to do, but I was so profoundly affected by doing this like 30 hours of recording, reading performances. I didn't realize how much that was going to harm me, cut into my body. So I wanted to make sure that I wrote what I learned, you know, because if somebody from our community or art community or indigenous community across the country wanted to actually understand what this is or what this was about or how it affected me, it's not just performing something in front of you. Like every performance artist, you know, it is our body, you know, it isn't something we take out of a toolkit, you know, it actually hurts. So whether or not I'm in a recording studio or not. Actually, Ryan, do you mind running back up to the top of the page? Yeah, there we go. So this was also some of the things that I just very quickly, I didn't want, you know, these white guys get so much space and time, you know, so I didn't want to like put their name first, right? So I actually I flipped it around, but I still need to cite, you know, I still need to respect the work, right? So 1867, 1911, 1919, 1989, you know, and then I had language support from language warriors in our community, Nsini, Odonama, and Galina, present here. And if you click on We Are Working, yeah, I'm not going to read that. It's a lot of text. It's too much. But if you just scroll down, you can see the team of folks. These are the folks who collaborated with me here, and that's fine. Yeah, you know, well, you'll all check it out. You'll all check it out, right? Yeah. Ryan, if you just roll back up to the top one more time and click We Listen. So this is the really special part that is kind of ongoing. But I asked other Tahltan people, Tahltan makers, Tahltan artists, Tahltan thinkers to listen to the recordings, and they have also made offerings here. So Candace Collison, Lux Ushen, Edonama, Thama Ingaris, Cole Pauls, and Alicia Hawkins. So, and all the ages of people are present. Yeah. And I just wanted to share that with you very quickly.